Hey, if you've watched my videos over the last week or so, you know I am temporarily carrying my .44 Magnum Smith & Wesson 329 PD as my everyday carry. I'm doing that because Turnip ate the holster to my normal everyday carry, my Dan Wesson Bruin 10mm. Well, since people have noticed that I am carrying the .44 Magnum now, they've been asking a question again and again in one form or another. And it's a question I've gotten in the past also. That question is, do I take on any extra legal liability for carrying a caliber like .44 Magnum? One that some people might consider a bit excessive for self-defense. Well, like I said, I've got this question in the past before also, and I actually had a conversation with an attorney friend about this very topic. Now, I would like to have been able to get him on video answering the question for you guys, but surprisingly, attorneys are a little bit, reluctant to get on video and give legal advice to people they don't know who aren't paying for it. Surprise, surprise. But even with my limited intellect, I think I can grasp enough of what he was saying and actually give you the gist of what he was saying. So the question was, do you take on extra legal liability by carrying a caliber like .44 Magnum? Well, he said yes and no. There's mostly no, but there's a little bit of a chance of yes. He said it basically comes down to three things. It comes down to availability, marketing, and circumstance. Now, what we're talking about as far as availability goes is it a caliber that you can walk into a store and just buy off the shelf? Is there a gun shop near you, a big box store near you that you can just walk in and buy it? It's just sitting right there. If that's true, it'd be really hard for a prosecutor to make it look like you went to extra effort to get something extra deadly. Since all handgun calibers can be deadly, and that's what guns are for, when you fire them, you're not firing them at someone to make their day brighter. You're actually trying to stop a threat. It would be really hard for a prosecutor to say you went out of your way to get something extra deadly because it's available to anyone right off the shelf. Now, if you hand load special loads, or you have to special order something extremely overpowered, there might be a tiny little chance, he said, that they could use that against you, but even then, tiny little chance. Now, moving on from availability to marketing, marketing means if the manufacturer you're buying your ammo from just says, hey, here's how fast it goes, here's how heavy it is, here's how many foot-pounds it puts out, here's where it meets or exceeds FBI standards, and it's good for hunting, it's good for self-defense, whatever, then you're okay. But if you choose to go with an ammo that's like Thug Killer or, RIP, like that one, Rest in Peace, something tongue-in-cheek that implies really violent acts, or a forethought or an intent to actually harm a certain type of person or to actually kill somebody, then you might have a little bit more of a problem. He said that way because a prosecutor could maybe use that to tell the jury that, hey, this guy was really wanting to go out and shoot someone. That's why he bought ammo called Kill 'em Dead. Or, like I said, Thug Killer or something. So avoid those trendy, funky marketed ammos, like the RIP, etc. They usually suck as far as ammo goes anyway, so you're not really giving anything up by avoiding them. So it's just a good idea to avoid them. Even if you use them, there's very little chance they'll be able to use it against you, but why take that chance? So now that we've covered availability and marketing, we get to circumstance. Now, there's two aspects to circumstance. The first one is, was it a good shoot? Were you legally justified in defending yourself against that person? If so, you're probably not going to have a problem, no matter what ammo you use. Because what really matters in a self-defense shooting is what happened. Were you justified? Did you overreact? Or did you have just cause to fear for your life? If those things fall in a row, you're probably not even going to be charged, but let's have to defend yourself. So circumstance means a lot. Like he put it, it doesn't matter if you beat off a rapist, or fight off a rapist, I should say, with a wooden broomstick or with an axe. If you were justified in fighting them off, it doesn't matter what you used. So that's not going to make a lot of difference, the caliber, as long as you're justified. Now, the other aspect of circumstances is something that comes into play for each of us differently. Like me personally, I do carry this .44 mag to the movies. I carry it to the mall. I carry it to the grocery store. But where do I carry it mostly? I carry it at home mostly. I spend 95% of my time on my own property. And on my property, we have big cats. We have bears. And even worse, we have evil chipmunks. So in my case, it makes perfect sense to carry a 44 Magnum. I am far more likely to run into a big four-legged critter that it might take something like a 44 Magnum to put down than I am a two-legged critter. And it would be unreasonable to ask me to change my gun for 5% of the time. So it'd be really hard for a prosecutor to use the fact that I carry 44 Magnum when 95% of the time it's a good idea for me. So as you can see there's a lot of things to think about when you choose your caliber. But most of it doesn't matter much. As long as it's a readily available caliber, as long as it's something that's not marketed in some sort of special way that, make you think like you're a violent person, and as long as you have a good shoot and the gun you carry makes sense. Like, don't go around with an AK on your shoulder because people are going to see that as offensive, not defensive. But when it comes to handgun calibers, they're pretty much mostly seen as defensive. So you're not going to have to worry about your caliber too much. The only case where it ever really became a thing was the Fish case, where Harold Fish was tried. He used this as an example also. And it wasn't much of a point when it got him convicted because the jury didn't pay much attention to that and the judge thought that was irrelevant. But that was actually used later when the actual prosecutor was charged with a crime for his behavior during that trial. The fact that he brought that up was one of the things used against him. So there's actually legal precedent also that caliber doesn't matter. You can't use a readily available caliber as a means to, try to show someone was looking for trouble. So you actually have legal precedent on your side too. So there you have it. Carrying a 44 Magnum is likely not going to cause you any problems. And even if you did everything wrong, like ordered a special ammo or hand loaded it extra hot or ordered something that was, like I said, called the Thug Killer or the Kill 'em Dead or something like that, you would still not have any problems unless you had a questionable shoot. So what you need to spend your time worrying about is not so much your ammo, but making sure you don't put yourself in harm's way when you shouldn't, and make sure you act responsibly when you do find yourself in harm's way. Those are the things that are important, not what caliber you choose.
Oops.
Go ahead. It's a lady at 46 South Road. 46 South Road.
Greenfield. One call, retone that, please. 10-4. Captain forward to go to that location. This is 1-9, is that correct?